Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975. Said notice was advertised in the Household Press and the Beacon and was posted on a bulletin board showing the time and place of the meeting. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good Island.
Don't even sit, buddy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here this evening just to give you a quick update on one of our programs that are underway called Lacey and Lights. So right now it's available for people to register online. They can register their home to be put on a list for all people to enjoy. We want to bring some extra pride this year to our Lacey and Lights program. We've all had a tough 2020, and I know people are really excited. They've already started decorating and getting out and really, doing their best to spread some extra holiday cheer. So for any homeowners that are interested, they can register online. I believe it's going to be up, if it's not up on our township's main website, it will be tomorrow, and it's also on our Facebook page. People can click on and register their home, and they can do that up until December 11th. All homes must be decorated by December 14th, and then we have a team of judges going out to rate each home, and we'll come up with a finalist list of the top 15 or so houses that score really high. We will be publishing two lists, a complete list of all the homes that registered by neighborhood, so people can download that on our Facebook page or on our website, and they can go out at their leisure and see all the homes. And we'll be publishing a list of the finalists where they can go and if they just want to see the top 15 or so, they can do that as well. Right now, we currently have 32 homes registered. We are registering up until December 11th, so we anticipate being probably higher than we have in years past. We usually hover around the 50 or 60 mark, so we should be right around there again this year.
Jim, how do the people vote, or aren't they voting this year?
We are going to vote. The only difference this year is we're not able to do a bus tour.
Right.
In years past, we were able to do a bus tour of the top 15. We're not able to do that this year, but people can still go and see the homes, and they can vote online, and that link will be on the township website as well as our Facebook page for people to click through and vote for their favorite. So.
I'm going to challenge the validity of the voting.
Who's in charge of the recount, or is this on a machine?
Well, I can get up to 20, but after that, I'll use assistance. So.
How do you choose the judges?
Well, interestingly enough, we have people who have previously placed in this as a finalist. We
like
asked
that
some
idea.
families that maybe have entered for a few years in a row that aren't entering this year. But we are looking for a few extra teams of judges. We usually try to send out anywhere from 5 to 8 different teams, and it's fun. So if your family's interested, you can go out, spend a couple nights, look at all the homes,
Nice.
and get a little preview. So, but it is a lot of fun, and it really creates a lot of community spirit amongst.
It always has capacity.
So,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, James.
have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too
So
now.
have a safe one.
Now we have a motion to close.
Move it.
Second.
All in
This is
favor?
Steve, this gentleman.
Oh,
But this is
caucus.
this is caucus. This is not for public comment yet.
It's up.
No, no.
At the end,
At the end.
okay?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to the public laws of 1975. Said notice was advertising in Asbury Park Press and the Beacon was posted on a bulletin board showing the time and place of the meeting. Everyone please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Resolution 2020-267, amending the 2020 capital budget.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing an amendment to the 2020 capital budget to include the capital project of purchasing 15 East Lacey Road. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. First reading of ordinance 2020-25, providing for the acquisition of property.
In order to the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, providing for the acquisition of and improvements to real property for municipal purposes, appropriating $1 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $950,000 in bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Lacey. This is a bond ordinance in order for us to purchase the Knights of Columbus building.
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, first reading of ordinance 2020-26, authorizing the acquisition of block 282, lot 15.01.
In order to the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition of block 282, lot 15.01 from the Forked River Columbian Club, known as the Knights of Columbus, in accordance with NJSA 48:12-5A1. This is obviously everybody knows where, or they may not know where the Knights of Columbus is. It's 15 East Lacey Road. They are disbanding their group and moving back underneath the church, and they had reached out to the township, wondering if we would want to acquire it. This makes a good fit. It's about 8,300 square feet as you know, we've been always thinking about a new community hall to replace our community hall, and we are purchasing it from them for $750,000.
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, resolution 2020-268, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Forked River Columbian Club.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Forked River Columbian Club Incorporated for the purchase of block 282, lot 15.01. Motion?
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, resolution 2020-269, authorizing the award of a contract to BRS for the filing of a grant application.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing a contract with Brownfield Redevelopment Solutions Incorporated for the filing of a grant application with the U.S. Economic Development Authority. This is a grant that we are looking to acquire with regards to consulting with BRS and Greener by Design for a nuclear closure communities planning grant.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, resolution 2020-270, authorizing the cancellation of taxes due to the disabled veteran exemption.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the tax collector to cancel 2020 taxes due on a property granted to 100% disabled veterans exemption and refund the resulting credit balance. This is on block 285, lot 81, and block 862, lot 13.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, resolution 2020-271, authorizing the refund of deposit monies.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the refund of deposits held for the use of municipal facilities.
Move it. Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, resolution 2020-272, authorizing the payment of township bills.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the payment of township bills in the amount of $899,758.81.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes, motion to approve township meeting minutes of November 12, 2020.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve caucus meeting minutes of November 12, 2020.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comments from the committee, Deputy Mayor?
Can I have an
Whoops,
add-on?
add-on.
First, it's ordinance number 27. It's an ordinance of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, amending an ordinance entitled an ordinance of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, affixing and determining the salaries, wages, and compensations of the officers, employees, and members of the governing body of the township. This is adjusting the Class 2 special law enforcement officer salaries, starting at $15 an hour.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes. Comments, Deputy Mayor Kuratolo.
Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. I just want to commend our Recreation Department for Lacey and Lights. It's another first. We were the first in the county, to the best of my knowledge, to do that. It's interactive. It's something for folks to get into, get excited about. It grows every year. So along with the Whibbit, these are things that, you're hearing about on Facebook, you're seeing it publicized, and you are hearing about it on the radio. So I commend him for his leadership and that staff, along with our other employees. Township Committee report will continue. Committeeman McDonald and I met with the Chief of Police about assorted police matters. Was productive. And I think this committee's been very above board in meeting with different department heads throughout the year and just hearing some of their concerns. Mayor Kennis and I Met recently with a person who is credentialed, looking to become part of and possibly rekindle Environmental Commission. So that's going to be a decision for the committee as a whole. But, you know, I'm proud of the way this committee and committees past has grown our town. If you look at the towns along Route 9 and other towns in and outside of our county, our township is aesthetically beautiful. It's part of the reason, because of our parks and our DPW, why people move here. We've grown in accordance with regulation and in observance to having a good environment, being safe. So we're excited about the future. We're excited about where we're going and how we're growing. I wanted to say a couple of things about COVID-19. I preface comments. I'll close my comments with this. I don't speak for my employer, Ocean County Health Department. I will say, if you look at www.ochd.org, you'll see that there's 20,000, I believe, 511 people who are confirmed positive. We have a county of just shy of 600,000 people, well over 600,000 people in the summer. That's about 3.3%. What you have to look at is we've been keeping those metrics since February. We're 40 weeks outside of February. There's no flu that lasts for 40 weeks. So when you see 20,511, know well that those folks, probably 95, 98% of them, are not currently infected. They are recovered. So, you know, when you know, it's easy to tear things down. And I point these comments at Governor Murphy. It's easy to close something. It's easy to destroy something. It takes a lot of talent and persistence to build something up. I refuse to believe that there's not enough academic capital or brain power in and outside of this room for us to keep our schools open. I believe that having schools open is very important. When a kid goes into a school from Forked River or any other town, he's not just, or she's not just going into a school. That kid's competing against the kids that same day who are going to school in Beijing, who are going to school in Stuttgart, Holland, anywhere else. I don't want our kids to lose their competitive edge, because I'm not sure that the experience is the same without the classroom. There's a lot of people, like I said, in and outside of this room. We know how to do this right. I often use the example of putting somebody on the moon 52 years ago, when cars didn't even really run too well. 244,000 miles later, we walked on the face of the moon. So we have the capacity to do this. We choose to do things in this country because they're hard, because of American exceptionalism, not because they're easy, because we can press mute on a Zoom meeting or just close businesses uniformly. There's lives at stake. There's lives, there's businesses, there's seniors dealing with isolation issues, there's addiction issues, there's kids that need to be educated. So I'm hopeful that we can open. I think we're going to live with this virus for a little while, and I think we can live with it and coexist with it until we put our boot on its neck and crush it out forever. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the time for the comments.
Committeeman Giuliano.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say a couple of things, but really, you know, this time of the year and everything that's going on in this world with this coronavirus, and the small businesses just, I go around Ocean County from Point Pleasant right on down to Manahawk, and I'm starting to see stores empty. It's not good. I know we're all trying, and I asked the last time, please help out every small business you can. They need our help really bad, because they are struggling very hard to stay afloat. And this time of the year, you know, you try to be jovial with everything we do because it's the holiday, but you know, there's some people out there that, you know, have everything on the line and are losing it, and that's really a bad situation. And we got to try to help as much as we can. I'm sure we are doing everything we can, because I see some of the locations in Lacey Township. People are soliciting; they're coming in. You see a lot of it, but you know, the restaurants. That's another story. We know what he's doing to them, and there's. I could tell you 6 that I know that rent from the company I work for that have gone out of business in the last month, and there's more to come. And we're getting ready for them to go. And it's not even, I thought maybe it was just them small businesses, but you know, it's starting to affect different big businesses. Staples, is looking at different things now, you know, so we really need to go. But on another note, like I said before, family is number one, so this is the holiday. Enjoy your family. I know there's certain people out there that said that, you know, we're gonna count the people that come to my home, but you ain't coming to my home. You ain't gonna come near my front door, okay? Because who I have in my home, it's my home, and I will have dinner and enjoy my Thanksgiving with my family, and I don't care if I have 8 of them there, 10 of them there, but that's my family. So what I'm trying to say is, please, enjoy your family over this holiday. I know it's a tough time, but just think of them other people out there that are having it. If we can help in any way, or if you see anything, please contact one of us, or anybody, you know, on this committee, and we'll get a hold of the right people to make sure we can help whoever we can. So all you enjoy, happy Thanksgiving, enjoy your family, and that's all I have there.
Thank you, Nick. Committeeman Dykoff.
Thank you, Mayor. So,
Oh, excuse me 1 second. I forgot. And I always say this because I always thank everybody in the town. The firemen, policemen, all the volunteer organizations in this town. Thank you very much. Everybody from the top to the bottom, the employees, everything. It's, they make us safe, make us work, make us look beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt with that.
I'm glad you did, because something that came to mind, listening to radio about the possibility of a vaccine and who would get it first, and it would be first responders, hospital workers, medical workers. So I'm very happy about that, because that's what I really worry through this whole thing. You know, people say, well, I'm going to do what I want, but at the end of the day, if you're risking our first responders out there, well, and that's another story. Because if you're going to get sick, you're going to call for help and go to the hospital. So that's very important. I'm glad to hear that. On another note that we've been talking about for a lot, Holtec. So on Friday, let me back up. Several meetings ago, I had called out and asked that the committee reach out to Holtec to hold a meeting, and just to hold a meeting just to talk and see where we're going and get an update on where things are. As everyone's well aware, we had Holtec had put forth a planning board application that was denied for a number of reasons. Being as pending litigation is very limited that we can talk about that, but again, you know, just to talk. So that came to fruition, and myself, Jerry Dasty, Patrick Varga from his firm, William McDonald, and of course Administrator LeRae, and then our planning board attorney as well, accompanied us out there, and we got to meet with, amongst others, you know, representatives of Holtec and CGI, which is doing the decommissioning, and then Dr. Singh, and that's probably the most important thing. And what people have to realize, Holtec is a privately held company owned by Dr. Hirsch Singh, and he's largely in charge. He calls the shots. So, you know, it was a very, very good meeting, a very, very fruitful meeting, because I think he told us things in 2 to 10 minutes that I didn't know. Some things about decommissioning, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I thought it was a really good meeting and something that we agreed to do. And we did discuss that we need, as always, better communication. You know, from Holtec's standpoint, they said the communication is there, but you know, we need them to walk us through it. You know, we're infants in this, so we need to learn to walk. So that was good, and it's interesting. People wonder what's going on, and the key is there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we can't really let the public be privy to, because again, pending litigation, negotiation, things like that. But if you paid attention tonight, we did a resolution for a contract for a grant with the BRS, and that's a big deal. You know, these are big deals. You know, when we can reach out, looking for legislation, hopefully from either the state or the federal government. These are things that are coming to fruition, and I guess we're the guinea pig to a certain degree, because we do have the oldest operating, or did have the oldest operating power plant in the country. But a lot of plants are coming offline, and I've said it before, I probably think the thing that bodes best for Lacey Township is the 2 plants in Salem County. Because as they go offline, well, certain members of the New Jersey Senate, who shall remain nameless, who happen to be the leader, you know, Senate Speaker, have a vested interest in that. So what happens there really affects us. So I thought that's pretty good. And people ask me, are you confident? Well, as confident as I can be. I know that the ERT, energy receipt tax, I know some people have spoken about, it is not going away right away, so it's something we're gonna maintain. So hopefully, everything else is gravy. The jobs, well, the jobs unfortunately are the jobs, and hopefully, as we've advocated, we want the quickest, safest path to decommissioning Oyster Creek so we can get something there, and that's one of the main reasons that we had gone out to Camden and met with Dr. Singh and his group to try and get some assurances and get some idea of what is going to go there. So that's that. Thanksgiving's here. Boy, it's a different Thanksgiving. I know my Thanksgiving is whittled down to what it was, not because of Governor Murphy, believe me, not because of Governor Murphy, but because people are just apprehensive. But we're still getting together. There are a lot of people hurting out there. I'm involved in some food drives in where I work, and it's going like hotcakes, turkeys and food kits. And there's an organization out there, it's called Fulfill, and they're formerly the Food Bank of Ocean and Monmouth County, and it's run by former Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno. And they've got a great social media presence, but I see what they do, and I'll give you, for instance, we're doing a giveaway, 2 giveaways in December. One is 120 turkeys and then food kits, and then we're giving 150 prepared meals. And it was a phone call. That's all it was, a phone call. And if you look around at some of the food giveaways throughout Ocean and Monmouth County, you'll see that this organization is behind them. So if you're going to give, I advocate giving to this company, Fulfill. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Committeeman McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me talk about some things that went on today in the news. Governor Murphy signed one bill today about body cams. And this was a bill that he vetoed last month because there wasn't any money to go along with the bill. And so today he goes ahead and signs it and says, well, I hope we get the companion bill to fund these body cams. So the hypocrisy it bothers the heck out of me. But to be on the other side of this is Lacey Township is a little bit ahead of the game, is we've got the body cams in place. And I have always said, and I'll say this again, is that the chief, when it came to the body cams, did an unbelievable job. Our total cost on those body cams that we had there was $60,000. When it started out at much more than that. And the chief and I, we banged heads about it, but that's all right. Lacey and Lights. I know some of you people here remember Bill Shepard, and he was the Christmas guy over there on Bay Avenue. And when he...
Bayway.
Bayway, excuse me, I'm sorry, Bayway. When he got old enough and he got sick and he couldn't do it, I was in liaison to the recreation. I said, Jim, what are we going to do? And we sat there and looked at each other and came up with the idea of Lacey and Lights. And it has grown from there. And if you remember correctly, the first parade that we had where Jim Shepard was not doing his lights, he was the grand marshal of the parade. And so, speaking of parades, Governor Murphy, again, he's going to be Mr. Grinch, I think, here, has canceled the parades. Let me jump in where Mark left off about Holtec. I thought it was a very good meeting. I thought we got a lot of insight into Dr. Singh's thoughts as to where that piece of property is going. He did say, and I think I can say this, that he's going to redevelop that property and that the jobs will be there as, if I heard him correctly, as good as what the power plant had. Now, that's a big statement. Whether he can deliver on that, that's a whole different McGill. But that's what he said, and it was a very good meeting. We got to meet a lot of different people who you kind of put faces to emails that you get or whatever. So it was a good meeting on that. And Senator Sweeney was there. So you had a little juice in the meeting. It was good in that way, too. And the last thing, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. If you can help donate to the food banks or whatever your charity is this time of year, reach in, reach deep, give some money. If you got an extra turkey in the freezer, get it out of there, give it to somebody, because they are hurting all over the place. And I am definitely afraid of what the future holds for us coming into December with this COVID virus and what Governor Murphy may or may not do, because he's going to follow Cuomo, and Cuomo is just getting beat up, unbelievable, because of his own stupidity.
He'll get reelected.
So, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
I just want to echo Nick's comments regarding small businesses. The busy shopping season's coming up this weekend, and just please get out and support the local small businesses and restaurants in town. And finally, wish everybody a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And now I'll open it up to the public. Public, has any questions or comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Township Committee. I came down to share a
Oh,
problem
sorry,
I'm
name and
having.
address.
Pardon me?
Name and address.
Name is Chuck Mondroy, 402 Camden Court, Lenoka Harbor. I have problems I own a business in town opposite Capri's, Custom Auto Radiator. We've had a run of bad luck lately. We had waste management truck driving through the property, tore out wires, lights, etc. We had a fire, I guess, 4th of July weekend, caused by an electrical cable too close to the side. And we had thousands invested in that. We're trying to deal with some of those claims very slowly. But it's the attitude of some of, not the officials of the town, but people that represent the town. An example, John Downing is, I found, very effective in enforcing the codes and keeping the town clean. On the other hand, I'm labeled a landlord by other bodies, and it shouldn't be landlord, it should be a taxpayer, because I don't control my own property. I don't control my own rental units. The police and other officials consider somebody a tenant long past the time of their lease. I have 2 tenants there now who don't, one is 4 months past his lease and the other one's 8 months. But I'm powerless to get them out because the courts are closed. One has had somebody coming down to put him out 9 or 10 months ago, and it was an older gentleman, there was stuff to be removed, and I agreed to give them some time to get the material out. It's now 10 months later, the stuff is still there, I get no rent, and he's the best of the two. I brought pictures, if you would humor me, of somebody who's a tenant who also has property on the side of his garage. The intent was for him to park customer cars there. He's turned it into a junkyard. There's 3, 4, 5 cars there. There's drums of oil. There's all kinds of debris. I don't know if you have the patience to look at any of these. Of course. But John has been,
So code enforcement is already working on this?
no.
Oh, okay.
So I guess
When I spoke to John, in the past, he's assisted me when there's been a problem, and he's a gentleman, but he also let me know the last phone call is that his status, because of the state, his powers are different, and that some of this I'm gonna have to deal with. Now, I did come down to the Violations Bureau.
So
to
I gather, just to interrupt you, you got cited. Is that-
Pardon?
Did you get a violation notice?
No,
Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay.
no, I haven't. I went to the Violations Bureau to file a complaint.
Oh, okay.
In the past, there was a small codification book available for residents to pick the right violation. That's no longer there. And the people working in the office were very nice. They offered me the town codification, which looked like a giant Bible, and I would be
We say that ourselves.
Okay. So I have the papers, but I haven't filed. Quite recently, we had an incident with one of the two problem tenants where he came bursting into my office uninvited. I'm fortunate that I have an office manager, a lady who weighs about 99 pounds, who confronted him at the door, and between the two of us, we escorted him from the office. But he proceeded to go in other parts of the building and argue and cause problems with other employees, to the point where we asked the police to come down. After the police came down, and there was 3 or 4 of them, he, I believe, convinced them that he was being persecuted or unfairly treated by us, to the point where an officer did come back to the office, 2 of them, and gave us a lecture that we shouldn't be causing problems with tenants. Now, this guy's lease ran out 4 months ago. He owes me over $5,000, and I'm powerless to get him out of there. I got 2 of them like that. And I still have to pay my taxes and insurance and the overhead. And I don't want to have a problem with the law, but sometimes it pushes you up to the edge. Okay? John has been excellent, very cooperative. I went Saturday to the police station because I know they're busy all week. I went Saturday morning, and the purpose was to see if I could get an escort on a tenant that should have been out 10 months ago, just for examining the building. And I wanted to have a witness that would indicate I didn't do anything as far as stealing or destroying anything. That wasn't available. I understand they have responsibilities, and it's not to be catering to taxpayers, but a little cooperation sometimes, an example like John has done, can go a long way. If you look at those pictures, you get an idea what a junkyard I have, and this person will be moving out, and then I'll be dealing with those 3 or 4 cars and trailers and containers of oil. And it's just not working the way it should. I appreciate your patience.
Let me ask you quick, do you own those cars?
Yes.
You personally own those cars that are?
No, there is tenants' cars. That's the tenants, the cars that are there belong to the
No,
tenant.
I don't know who owns them.
Right.
But we have that regulation, right? You put that in place?
Got to be registered.
But right now, you
Okay.
can't get the cars registered because DMV has put an extension on a lot of these things. So this is, we're stuck in this quandary right now with some of these restrictions due to COVID, that the laws have been extended with licensing and registrations and titlings of vehicles. So even if they weren't unregistered, we wouldn't be able to enforce it right now.
So, sir, what would you ask us to do?
I'm not asking
Oh,
you,
okay.
I'm not asking you to do anything, I'm just, some employees of the township are very cooperative and understanding. Sometimes a little sympathy goes a long way.
Of course.
But sometimes I feel like I'm knocking heads, whether it be to court or whether it be with the police department. I had one person who gave me a couple of bad checks in excess of $600 each. The bank said that's a federal offense. I had 5 different court dates coming down in the middle of the day, spending hours here, and we didn't get anywhere. At a certain point, I gave up. That's not the way the system is supposed to work.
Right.
You violate a law, whether it's federal law, state law, somebody should charge them and prosecute. Thank you for your patience and your time. I feel better already from that.
Good. We're glad.
Most important, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
to say it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
I'm gonna sit them up. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Comments?
He wants to go last.
Ron Martin, 44 Dunbury Drive in Forked River, which is a suburb of whatever it is of Lacey Township in this wonderful state of New Jersey. Before I start, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and a healthy Thanksgiving. I have a couple of questions, okay? We submitted about, I think it was 2 meetings ago, some suggested ordinances for hazardous and nuclear waste. Is there a status on that, please?
It's on my list tonight. It's on my-
Okay, we're gonna get to it, good. And the second thing is, when you had met with the same organization at Holtec, what was your agenda?
Our agenda was to talk about the future of Lacey Township.
Okay, did you accomplish the objectives that you set out?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about the future of Lacey
Talk
Township.
about the future Lacey
What
Township.
is the implication of that?
The
The
implication is
future
that,
of Lacey
the
Township is a
implication,
very broad thing.
you're absolutely right. The implication is that we want to discuss the communication between Holtec and Lacey Township.
Was that accomplished?
Well, yes, we came up with specific guidelines on things that we would ask them to do, including give us reports on a daily or weekly basis on any operations out there.
Out
The
of their
reports,
PSDAR?
the reports that are required.
Okay. Well, there aren't very many from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, so good luck on that one. The other thing that we talked about was on exemptions, and we've done a little bit of things on that, and we're head scratching, quite frankly. If we look at the exemptions that Oyster Creek received from the NRC, and we compare that to the exemptions that Pilgrim in Plymouth, Massachusetts received, and again, the exemptions that Indian Point in New York have received, in straight street language, they ain't the same. And so what I am asking is, have you had an opportunity to do a comparison of all exemptions that have been received? Yes, no, maybe?
Have we had?
No.
Yeah, you
No.
have not, okay. So then, what that tells me is that this guy learned a lot from Oyster Creek. He didn't learn.
We
something-
learned a lot from Pilgrim, you mean?
No, he learned a lot from Oyster Creek.
Well, you're saying he asked for more exemptions from Oyster
Well,
Creek
I'm
than
gonna
he
get
did
to
from
that,
Pilgrim.
Mark, I'm gonna get to that, okay?
Okay.
And one of the things, as he got to Plymouth, because he had the support of the governor, the attorney general, their state senators, including Elizabeth, Elizabeth, and.
Warren.
Yeah, Warren, I know her name, thank you. That they refused, as a state, to accommodate all of his requests. So when I look at the PSDAR, post-shutdown decommissioning activities report, and you look at the monies that this gentleman's gonna make, and I don't begrudge him that.
No.
That's just the foolhardiness and plain stupidity of bureaucracy. Because you have a bunch of twits that have no business sense whatsoever. He will make over $300 million from Lacey. He will make a comparable amount of money from Pilgrim. He will make a comparable times, because they have 3 reactors, times 3 from Indian Point. Okay? And he has zero experience in decommissioning a plant. His claim to fame is to make casts. And no one, and I'm not chastising you, I'm just saying, you guys are holding the bag. You really are. If you don't realize it, we should talk about that. But the fact of the matter is that he is running rampant through his connections, both locally within the state of New Jersey and nationally. And he's getting away with bloody blue murder. I don't mind him making the money. That's the way the stupid laws are made. But the basic questions remain. Why a 5/8 inch cast versus the 23 inch cast? There's no safety backup cast. Why? Where is it? Is it manufactured? Yes or no? If it isn't manufactured, how long will it take? How long will it take to be delivered here? In the interim, there's an escape That's the only reason you would use them. What is the potential of that escape? We're not hearing that. All we're hearing is that they're nice people and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure they are. I'm sure he's a great guy to sit down and have a beer with. But in my limited experience in business, when you have a meeting with someone like that, you have an agenda, you lay out objectives, and then you come back and you say, did I accomplish my objectives? Yes or no? What was accomplished? What is left to be discussed? Otherwise, it's called a meet and greet meeting. And meet and greet meetings are a handshake on the street with a person that you just meet. Now, that's from my perspective. From our perspective, from our little group, okay, we're saying the town, in our opinion, has the potential of being in serious jeopardy. And no one seems to care. And that's a concern. Why did we live here? We like the environment, now it's questionable. We like the quality of life, now it's questionable. We like the security, now it's questionable. We like the financial transparency, now that's questionable. You, as a council, and the group of you have done an excellent job in running the town. In our humble opinion, you have overlooked some very, very severe consequences to the town. And as a consequence, I would urge you to show a tad bit more interest, if you will, in what that individual has done. In New Mexico, every Republican is aligned with him. In New Jersey, every Democrat. The guy's not a dummy. He's a damn good businessman. That he is. But he's looking out for himself. Under the new legislation that's been proposed by members of Congress and the Senate, when they look at the storage of casks, okay, and the potential remuneration to the town, combined with the ERTs, is a rather significant number. The cask alone would represent something around $10 to $15 million, okay? If we become an interim storage site,
We're not going to
We're not
become
gonna become
interim.
that.
You keep on bringing that up,
I'm
Mr. Martin. It's
sorry.
not going to happen.
that's not true.
No,
I'll
wait a
tell
minute.
you why
It
it's
is
not
true.
true.
His
Tell me why
license-
it's
No,
not
you
true.
can't.
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
listen to me for
No,
one second.
No, you listen to me for a second,
No,
because I sat here
I
and
have
let
the
you
floor,
ramble on.
not you.
Go ahead, you finish,
I
and
have the
I'll
floor.
follow up. Go ahead.
Don't give me that crap.
Listen
Listen to
show
me.
me some
Mr.
respect,
Martin.
Mr. Martin.
I will show you respect when you show me respect.
Mr. Martin, we follow procedure here.
I understand
Members
that.
of the elected members of the governing body have the floor, and they will allow you to speak, but when they're speaking, you're going to have to listen.
Can they interrupt me
Yes, they
when I have the floor for no reason
Yes, they-
whatsoever?
Yes, we can.
Okay, other than conjecture.
Yes, they can.
Yeah,
It's
wonderful.
called Robert's Rules of Order.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Really?
it is.
So, well, that's
Okay.
wonderful.
I'll let you finish with your diatribe. Go ahead.
It's not a diet.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
No, it's not.
Well, go
I
ahead.
use-
Finish. Mr. Martin, please finish.
Will the attorney comment on diatribe?
Well, Mr. Martin, let me just,
Let
No,
me
let
help
him
you out
finish.
here
Let
for a
him finish.
second. We're
Go
going
ahead.
through a process in town, okay? I want to make sure that Lacey comes out on top, okay? And that requires some aggressive part, and not to be overwhelmed by the importance or unimportance of people. And what I'm seeing is, I'm afraid that our town is going to get second best at best. So when we look at the things that are happening in the Senate, when we look at things that are happening in Congress, particularly with the bill, ironically, that Leahy and Sanders have sponsored for remuneration to towns. You're aware of that? No, you're not aware. Okay, you're aware of all the bills that have been sponsored.
Yes, I have. I'm also aware of any past bills, like, I'm aware of the interim storage facility permit. I'm aware of, all of them. I've also brought them to the attention of the other members of the governing body.
The interim storage thing is a great concern, because as of today, that will never happen.
Well, it'll not happen there, but you're saying it'll happen here.
It will.
You're saying we're more aligned to have it happen here than it's to be in...
Yes.
You-
You want to
you're-
know
Let me,
why?
let me,
You
let
wanna
me,
know why?
let me jump in here, Ray, real
You
quick.
want to know?
And I'm going to tell you why it'll never happen here, because it came directly from Dr. Singh's mouth. He doesn't have the license to bring it, to bring other ones in here.
He doesn't need a license, sir.
Well, according to Dr. Singh, he does.
How
He
do you-
doesn't.
how can you say he doesn't need a
Let me tell you something
license?
about Dr. Singh, okay?
Look,
He must be a nice guy. How many ethical violations has he had?
Okay.
I asked you a question, how many? Do you
I have
know?
no idea.
You have no idea. We sent, I think, what is it, 35
I mean,
pages?
that was a year ago. He had a couple guy out
So,
in Pittsburgh and
the
stuff
thing-
like that.
The thing is that you have to be concerned about. Oyster Creek is the first in New Jersey to be decommissioned. Okay?
Right.
What's the political powerhouse in New Jersey? You already know the answer to that. It lies in Gloucester County. Of the three plants, there are three plants remaining, okay? If you look at the probability, and based upon our communications with the national network, the probability is very high for storage. Why? Because of money. Why? Because New Mexico is out of the picture. So I ask you, okay, to pay attention to what is happening in Washington and to not totally be bamboozled, swayed, cajoled, or otherwise influenced by what is being said by Holtec. Because if you recall at the planning board meeting, two representatives of Holtec stood up and said that if the NDT went bust, Holtec parent would make up the difference. Mr. Dostal said that at a December 3rd meeting, and Miss Joy, I think Rogers, said that at our planning board meeting. Okay? Now, we've not gotten, has the town gotten any letter from Holtec indemnifying the difference? No. I don't think you'll see one.
I think we've discussed that when you were previously up here about if, and we've got notification from, and I've got it in an email, and I don't have it, it's in my car, whereas if for some reason, and I've got a letter of indemnification, it's actually, I have an email, and I'll provide it to you.
Why
That
wasn't
if
that provided to us
If
earlier?
Holtec runs out of money, the federal government will make
Well,
up
that's
this.
not the answer.
Well,
See, that's not the answer that was given at the planning board meeting, nor
Well-
was it the answer that was given at the.
But you don't
December-
always get, unfortunately.
No, we know who the government is. The government is you and I. We're
Well,
called
I
taxpayers.
understand that,
Well,
and to be
you can't
perfectly honest,
dismiss it.
Ms. Martin, are you gonna let me talk at all, or just?
Go
gonna-
ahead, I'll
just-
listen.
Are you just gonna keep on trying to talk over me?
Go
Okay?
ahead. I'll
So
hear
basically,
what you wanna
unfortunately,
say.
that's the way it is. I remember we had a committeeman here who was against taking grants, because he said it was coming from one pocket going to the other. So I see your point, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. So unfortunately, if the federal government has to make up for it, just like they do throughout the country, well, I'll take it. If it means that the residents of Lacey Township are made whole, because that's my concern. My concern are the borders, well, I'm concerned a little bit more, but my main concern is Lacey Township. So let's back up for a second, because you said a lot of things, okay? And you made a lot of accusations, and to tell you the truth, it's not the first time you come up here and kind of throwing barbs at us. Let me finish.
You can finish, just
Okay.
don't slate the argument.
I'm so
State
what?
the facts. State the facts.
I am stating the facts.
Take the
Stating the
motion.
facts
Go
that you've
ahead.
come up here and you've thrown some barbs. And it's funny that you talk about stating the facts, because you don't always state the facts, Mr. Martin. And I'll give you a couple of instances where you haven't stated the facts. Well, number one, a while back, you had come up here with some of your gentlemen from Seabreeze and talked about the caskets at the California facility leaking. Okay? You recall that? You recall that? They leaked. Are you affirming? Yes. You're saying that. That's not true, is it?
What is true is what?
What?
What is your understanding of it?
They did not leak.
What
And
was
my
the-
understanding is
what
that
was-
there has never
what
been a
was
leak
the
of any
incident?
cask in,
What was the incident?
did it leak?
No, the incident was what?
You said it leaked.
What was the, that's.
Yeah, you
based
said
on
it
the-
leaked.
Based on the information we heard, that is what we heard.
You heard.
You heard.
You heard. Do you have proof?
From-
I look for proof, Mr. Martin. I don't look for heard or hearsay. I look for
Well, wait a
proof.
second.
Let me give you the next item. And I have it in the minutes out in my car. A few meetings back, you talked about advocating for the larger casks. And one of the reasons you gave was the cask at Fukushima had tumbled around during the tsunami. You recall that? You said they tumbled around. They didn't tumble around. They absolutely did not tumble around. I've got 3 reports in my car from the international. Wait, did they tumble around?
You're going off on a.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying
Are you
to, I'm
gonna
trying to
listen
establish
an answer,
the
or are you
validity
gonna
of your
sit here and
argument.
accuse me?
I'm trying to establish the
Are you playing
validity.
prosecutor?
No, I'm
Okay,
basically,
you want to fact find?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Those,
All of the Japanese casks, okay, in that thing, in that catastrophe, were uninjured.
Yes, they were.
Okay.
Yes, they were.
Okay.
But was it due to was it due to their construction? Was it due to their size? You know,
Yes,
you're saying,
yes,
your argument
yes,
was.
Yes. What's the standard size in Europe?
Say it again? I don't know, but
I do.
that's, you
But
do,
that's
but
okay. That's
does
a
that make
detail
them
you
better
don't
than
wanna be
ours?
bothered with. That's
Does
a
it mean
detail
that the
you don't
ones
wanna
we
be
have are
bothered
not safe? Does it mean that the ones we have are not safe? Is that what you're saying?
The
You're
ones that we have-
you're assuming,
No, I'm not saying that.
or your argument is that the ones that are in Lacey Township are not safe, and that the residents of Lacey
ones in
Township are
Lacey-
unsafe.
The ones in Lacey Township are how old?
Are they
How
not
old?
safe?
How old?
Are they not safe?
How old? Don't tell me they're not
I'm
safe.
asking you, are they not
Look
safe?
at the age.
1995
Are-
they were in.
Are they
The old ones, the new ones, the new ones will be brand
Are they
new.
the 5/8 inch size?
Are they safe?
Well, so far,
Yes.
so far,
So far.
for the first 20 years, and then they're gonna get certified. That's a
You
different.
also
that's a
assume
different-
that we can make demands of the NRC, you know, and I live by a certain thing, it's or else. And very simply, what's the or else? You better do this or else. You know, Mr. Martin, and I have a lot of respect for you and your folks, and I'll tell you the truth. I was just talking to Mr. McDonald that I thought we should meet with you and give you a rundown on really what happened at that meeting. I was very happy that Mr. Kennis met with you, but you have to understand the limited power that we have. We have no or else.
I understand where you are, Republican versus Democrat.
No, you
No, it's not.
understand, it's not Republican versus
I
Democrat.
understand.
It's the NRC calls the shots.
The NRC is calling the shots because no one is challenging them. No one in New Jersey is challenging the NRC. Okay? So therein lies the first step of the problem. The second step of the problem is no matter what you think on the size of the casks, okay? When you look at what's happening in Europe and the size of the casks that they have and the reason that they have them and how they're storing them, there is a world of difference. So you can sit
Is that
there-
opinion or fact?
That's fact, read it.
Okay.
We sent literature.
Okay.
We sent things from the NRC, we sent things from Sweden, we sent things. If you don't read them, I can't help you on that. The fact of the matter is, that is fact.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
you'll also find out that Holtec is not the #1 cast manufacturer in Europe. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
No, okay, fine. So now you know that. All right. If you read the Swedish study, you would find out why.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of things I don't know, Mr. Martin. A lot of things I don't know.
The thing that we started talking about in here, how do we protect Lacey?
Yes.
How do we ensure that Lacey gets all of the remuneration that it's due?
Yes.
Okay? If you roll the clock back, initially, nothing was to be stored here, it was going to Yucca. If things were going to be stored here, there would be a formula to remunerate the town, okay? And that was $15 per kilo, right? And that, today, that's around $10–15 million. All right? That went by the boards. I don't know what happened. Nobody fought for it. Nobody in the state, nobody fought for it. That's my opinion. All right? Now there's legislation saying that the opportunity in the 2 bills and 4 bills that are sponsored would give the town an opportunity to make some money. So if you take the $11 million in ERT and you combine that with what is on storage, 30, 68, 70 casts, that's rather a significant amount of money that the town could use, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we're fighting for.
And we're fighting for it as well, Mr. Martin. Everything we can, we're fighting for, believe me. And we have all along. There have been proposed, in different Congresses, there have been proposed legislation that unfortunately didn't have the support. For a while, we had the support of Congressman MacArthur. Unfortunately, he's not there anymore. So as each Congress goes through, and you should know this, each Congress goes through, a bill or legislation is proposed, but unfortunately, without the proper support, and who blocked most of it? Harry Reid. You know, so over the years, we have fought, and we have worked with our legislators, and we just keep on trying to get another bite of the apple.
What are we trying to do to get Mr. Murphy's attention, or the Attorney General's attention, or Mr. Booker's attention?
Well, I know that our 9th District legislators have contacted Governor Murphy and sent him a letter asking him for help.
Okay, well, we got a response back from Senator Booker, who made some posts on this network, and it was rather interesting. Do you know what a KISS letter is? Okay.
Yeah.
We got a KISS letter. Thank you for being good citizens. Thank you for showing your interest in the community. We're here to help. You know, call us if you need us, and all that sort of balloon. Never answered our question. So the thing that we're looking at is, as a resident here, I have an investment. Okay?
As we all do.
We all do. That's correct.
As we all do.
We all do. I have no doubt about that. Looking, how do we ensure that we come out fair square?
We're trying.
Mr. Martin, I can tell you this, when I was the mayor, I did call Booker's office personally. I did call Mr. Menendez, Senator Menendez's
What was
office.
your response?
The
I'll-
same KISS letter.
And I used, this is Mayor McDonald from Lacey Township. Someone did get back to me, and I explained the whole situation, what we're trying to do, and you know what? Oh, we'll get back to you. Great. Veronica, have I gotten the call?
We're still waiting.
We are still waiting. We are still waiting. Wait a minute, I'm not done yet. Senator Connors was on a call with me with Assemblyman Rump and Assemblyman Grove last spring, I think it was, or over a year ago, with Congressman Kim, and we were screaming about we didn't have representation on the decommissioning committee that Murphy had put together. Congressman Kim at that point said, not a problem, I'll get that taken care of. 14 months later, in the middle of an election, guess what he does? He puts Mr. Kennis, Mayor Kennis, on that committee. We have done everything we can. Now, wait a minute, I'm not done. We applied to have a hearing. In November, the year I was the deputy mayor, it was, how much was it? $4,000 we spent to have a hearing, which closed in January, and they sent us a notice in March, this is from the NRC, that we couldn't have a hearing after everything had closed. So we have done everything we possibly can, and we're not done.
Well, let me help you on a couple of things. Congressman Kim, being the junior congressman in New Jersey, okay, sits in an area that's in Congress that's controlled by a guy named Pallone. Remember him?
Yeah.
In Monmouth County. He's the chair of the Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Committee. Okay. As we understand it, he gets his marching orders from somebody in Camden.
No.
And he was told, be a nice young man, take care of the veterans, and don't worry about the plan. So
Well-
we're attuned to that. We've had that against us for so long.
And I have talked directly to the NRC about moving Cass into Oyster Creek. You know what I was told? Urban legend. Will never happen because there are no licenses issued by the NRC to move the Cass around, and there won't be.
Have you read the requirements for an interim storage facility license?
If you look at.
Have you read the license?
Have you looked at Indian Point, what they just got?
Yes, we're aware of it. Because
And
they had support from their governor.
I would have loved
No,
for,
no. One of the exemptions was that out of the NDP of $1 billion, they got 541,000, a million, for the maintenance, storage, and security of the cast at Indian Point. How much did they get here?
At this point, up until now, nothing.
Okay.
Up
What
until
did they
now.
get in Plymouth?
Well, here's my question.
No, the reason I'm asking, I'm not there trying to embarrass you, I'm just saying the inconsistencies of
But
one
look who,
contract.
wait, look who got
Can I
involved.
just?
Yes,
Can I
please,
proceed?
please do,
I try to
Senator.
bite my tongue and only address when there's a legal issue, and I try to mind my piece here. But we're gonna sit here and talk
All night.
for an hour and a half. The simple reality of it is this town filed a suit to stop them from what they were doing. It is pending in the courts, and we now have litigation in the Chancery Division of Superior Court. We now have litigation in the Federal District Court. We now have a Land Use Board application denial that's in Superior Court. We have an Ocean County Construction Board of Appeals on a stop work order. None of this would come to discussion until we filed the suit, and we're tying it up in court. And part of the litigation is to attempt to address some of those things that we would not ordinarily be able to receive through legislation or through the NRC. We have to know where our strengths are, and we have to recognize where our weaknesses are going to be. Now, you can point examples of Pilgrim and Indian. They all have political compositions that are much different from the state of New Jersey. You could talk to Senator Booker and Senator Menendez and Senator Kim, and lo and behold, guess what? They're all in the same political party. You keep talking about a power broker in Camden. I don't know who that is. You haven't mentioned his name. Everybody's afraid to mention his name, but he's of the same political persuasion. Now, it's the federal legislation that will provide a price per cast to the municipalities that host nuclear rods. It's not state legislation, it's
Correct.
federal legislation.
There are four
And we have
bills.
advocated that, I have advocated that with Congressman Kim. That's the congressman that I need to go through, as well as advocating it through Congressman Van Drew's office and doing the best that I can as a state legislator to influence federal legislation. But it's not within the province and jurisdiction of this municipality or the state of New Jersey, for that matter, nor is the NRC. So our best bet is through what we can do, is through litigation. And there are risks involved in a litigation, and we have to know and how to measure those. And so that's what the governing body is attempting to do, is to try and put the brakes on it so that we can get the best possible remedy for this municipality and the people that live in it, okay? And so, going back and forth, I don't see where it's gonna suffice. We can have these discussions. I suggest that we have these discussions in another manner, in another forum, because I don't think it does any good for this governing body to begin to talk about certain aspects of its litigation, nor for me as a state legislator to tell everyone exactly what I'm thinking and doing in terms of legislation or how I'm going to address it from a political standpoint. It does no good to do that.
Well,
And
that's
so
one
I
of the
can assure you
reasons-
that it's being done.
That's one of the reasons we suggested at looking at exemptions. Because if you're looking for some legal advantage, if you will, okay? If you look at what the other plants have gotten from this company and what we have not gotten, and where we stand, you might find some significance in what the differences are and what has been allocated in each of those situations. So while I agree, we're not gonna solve the problem here tonight, but what I don't agree with is the fact that you come to a forum, okay? I voiced an opinion, and I'm looking for guidance from you people, the council, okay, on what our next step is. We have worked long and hard to make sure that our town comes out on top. And that's the motivation that we have. The comments that you make as far as what we know about this and what we know about that, you know what? We know a whole hell of a lot. But again, we don't know a whole hell of a lot. We've asked for a sit-down with Singh. We've not gotten it. Okay? We're not adversaries. We just want to find out what the hell's happening. Why aren't things being addressed? And I appreciate the time it takes for the legal process. However, we don't have a lot of time. Every day, there's another brick that comes down. Every day, things are
We're
happening.
painfully aware.
Well,
We're
that's good. We're all aware of it then. I want to make sure that we need to do some things. The status of the ordinance, the status of exemptions for comparison, so you can build a business case so that people can understand the idiosyncrasies and differences that exist therein. So, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got this. Take this.
Name and address.
Old Dresser, 70 Arbor Ridge, Forked River. And I'm going to be relatively short. It's frustrating to all of us, both to you and to us. We appreciate what you're doing. But one of the things I would just make mention, the NRC is the culprit here as far as stuff like that. And what I would say is they supposedly went around to 10 sites around the country and we're supposed to do something for Congress and report to Congress in November, which is now. And next week it's over. Best demonstrated practices, which would solve all the inconsistencies that are going on. The other issue is, as Ron talked about, I submitted 3 things to Booker as far as stuff like that, put a thing up on his website and got a KISS letter. Again, I appreciate what you guys doing, but the issue is our folks down in Trenton, as far as something's got to be done. We've got to get them to do something. That's it. Thank you for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Name and address.
Take this off so you can hear me. Kevin Flynn, 232 Davis Avenue. Is the town broke?
I don't know.
Well,
Are we broke?
yes, we
I'm
broke.
not gonna say we're broke. I mean, we're not flushing money. no.
Okay, well, because the fire department put in for their 50/50 raffle license, so we could keep a roof over our head and raise money. And you charge us $80.
But that's what the ordinance says. I don't have a. way
Can you,
to-
is it possible to waive that?
Yeah, if you
So-
request a waiver, I guess.
Yeah, but then if you
Yeah,
waive
no,
one
no.
organization, you're waiving every organization. Every organization pays for raffle licenses.
Okay, no, I'm just,
So we have to treat it fairly to
okay,
all
no, I'm just,
organizations.
that's why I'm here asking a question.
Again, that was passed years before we.
No,
were.
well, I know, that's.
That was passed in the
that's-
70s, Gavin.
I'm here asking a question.
Have you always
And-
paid for, I mean, did we
Well,
Yes, they've
waive?
always paid for a raffle.
So
It
we
just
never
come
waived-
up that they want to go
It's
redo
based on the
it.
value of the prize that you're offering. Well, and did you not win a prize recently for a 50/50
That was from
raffle?
Lenoka, yes.
Okay, that was from Lenoka, yeah. So
That was
maybe you
number
could donate
99.
the raffle
So,
license fee for that.
$80 out of your winnings?
Yeah, I'm sure he could. But
This
no,
that was from Lenoka.
it's based on the value of the prize, and when it comes to a 50/50, you don't pay it up front because you don't know if you're gonna sell all the 50/50 tickets, so you pay it after the fact once you raise that money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that goes with the next part is because last week, the fire chief was here. We had 2 trucks broke down at the same time. And his budget was pretty much spent out and didn't have the money to pay for them. And Veronica said that, the towns, we're broke. We got no money. You can't help you pay for your fire
I don't
truck.
have the money to lend you to do that now. Your line items are spent.
But you're sitting on every penny that's left over out of the entire budget, plus the 4 million surplus, and who owns the fire trucks?
Well,
There are 2 trucks down at one time, and his budget was spent trying to keep them running because they're old, they're getting worn, and you don't want to replace them. So he comes up here to get money to ask to get them repaired, and you're telling him that
well,
there's no
so
money.
Again, the finance office goes by line items. You guys
Right.
set the budget.
But it's November, Stephen. I was the
And
chief
it
at one
goes-
time. I know that the
Well,
deal is
it goes
money's
both ways.
transferred over and can be spent in any budget that you want to spend it in now.
It's
Yes,
Not in any
as
line
you-
item.
as
Any
you
line
said-
item. correct that,
Yes.
not in any budget. In
But any line item.
If
So
if
you
it's
could
approved by
transfer
the
money
body.
from one spot to another, and you could have given them the money to pay for those repairs. You could have, but you chose not to.
Well, again.
You're sitting on over 4 million,
We're not sitting on over 4 million.
what's in surplus and whatever was left over out of the budget that was unspent, Veronica, 4 million plus.
Again, it depends on how our CFO does the budget is,
But
you know,
the
that's.
state law is it's November, you can transfer money from line item to line item.
But she massages the books in order to keep our tax base stable, which is very important.
But you
That's
didn't.
why that's why the money gets, that's why the money that gets swept in the surplus goes into the following year. If you spent the surplus down to zero, everybody's
Well,
taxed.
no one's asking it out, but you still have, you froze everybody's budgets in October.
So again, the reasons, you know, I can't speak to everybody's budget, but I think we went over this one other time before. If you're putting line items in there and then not using the money up until November, and it was like
Well,
that, there's a past history.
well,
But there's a past history, because when we get the budgets, again, I use the example of, yeah, and it's not just you, it's everybody does their budgets. You put tires in there for $5,000, and we see the budgets going back 5 years, and it's not spent for 5 years, then she sweeps it
Well,
in November. I can't blame her. You
But
haven't
the
spent it
money,
for 5 years.
the money for the maintenance and repair of vehicles was spent trying to keep them up and running.
Yeah, no, I
Because
I
nothing,
understand
you're not, listen, you're not replacing fire trucks when you're supposed to. The average life of a fire truck is 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
okay? We've been asking, they've been asking.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
Yeah,
Everybody-
you're running I don't see anybody driving around in 1988 cars up there, but we're supposed to go out and.
Well, you never see my.
88. I know. Nobody up there is driving around in
You see
1988.
my, you see my stuff?
97.
You know where my equipment, you go look at my equipment.
I got
My equipment's
97.
from, our excavating equipment is from 1980.
Yeah, and you know what? You dig a basement, then the machine sits. Then when the foundation's up, the next machine
Those
comes
machines
in.
break all the time.
All the time.
So we just had this problem with the backhoe. We couldn't even find, needed a new radiator for it. They don't even make them anymore.
And what do you think's happened with the fire
Yeah,
truck,
it's the
Stephen?
same, it's a pain, yes.
Yes, that's why when things reach their life expectancy, you're supposed to
So,
replace
and
it.
again, you're supposed to, but you might have to do what I just did. Replace the have it refinished because you
Well,
couldn't get a new one.
People's lives are at the end of them hoses, so we really can't afford breakdowns while someone's fighting a fire.
I'm sure that you keep the equipment in the best shape.
We do the best we can with what we got. But unfortunately, it's coming down to the point where, yeah, you're supposed to, you
We
are
replace-
responsible. Yeah.
We replace equipment every year. It may not be all the equipment you want, but we replace equipment. for
Unfortunately,
all-
the
for all
fire department seem to be at
for
the bottom of the food
Fire
chain.
department, police, and first aid squad. We replace equipment every year.
Yeah. Yeah, you said that, yep, because you didn't have a problem whipping up $1 million bond ordinance to buy the Knights of Columbus, but the last time I was up here, you were telling me it's tight, but yet guys couldn't get turnout gear. But now, here it is, months
got
later,
your-
we
yeah,
whipped up $1 million bond ordinance to go buy the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, again, collectively, we haven't.
But we're talking about personal
invested-
protective equipment that, for the
we-
firefighters.
We purchase personal protective equipment.
not
every
enough for everybody that needs it.
year. Again, we budget the best we can.
But yet, here it is, a couple months later, we whipped up $1 million to go purchase a piece of property.
Florida, yes.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the community hall?
Sell it.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Well, really?
You can sell
You
it.
have
The
facts on
original
that?
deed, I thought said was you could not sell the property.
Fact on that.
I mean, I'm not gonna talk about this now.
Oh, don't worry, I got my people looking into it to
That's
try and find the original deed.
Please do.
Oh, no, I have people on it.
That's fine. We do too.
Because of what, this is,
We have
oh, do you? I got somebody looking for it anyway.
Okay.
Because what, this is step one into building a Taj Mahal over there, right?
I would hope so, yeah.
That you said, when I was up here last time, that the only thing you had was a plot plan.
That's all we have.
That's all I have.
That's all
Well,
we have.
I have a tweet from Stephen back in July 19th that
Alright.
he was, met with Johnson Controls.
Yeah.
Right.
That was only right after I was up here.
But
Nothing
all
was
we
going
have is a
on.
plot plan. We don't have architecturals. We have
Yeah.
there's the piece of
And?
property with 3
So
square
the
boxes on
wheels,
it.
you said nothing's going on, but the wheels have been turning for
We
this for years.
For
Yeah.
years now, I wouldn't say
I
years.
mean, beside so if I'm investing my time to do it, we take meetings all the time. It's no different than any meetings we take. Just because we have a meeting doesn't mean it's gonna
But the ultimate goal is to build a new municipal
I
building.
would hope so. Yeah,
Right.
That's my goal. I mean,
And how
I'm
long?
not making a
What's-
secret of it.
Is there a time frame? Like,
no, I
what's
don't
your?
know. I may not even be here. I'm gonna do is it's future planning. I may not even be here. You have to plan for the future. I'm doing it for, it's my gift as a developer of the township. I am trying to set the town
You're a
up.
beneficent.
You're gonna build it for free? You said it's gonna be a gift, so I guess you're
I just
building.
want to make sure.
Ridgemont Homes is gonna build a municipal
I told
building.
I would supervise it on
Yes,
my
he
own
has
time.
told me
I said
that.
that. Just so nobody would screw it up. I would supervise it. That's exactly what I told him.
He did.
Yeah, so I'm not shying away from it. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next thing is, when you say something that's not true, it's a lie.
Okay.
Okay? So please, stop saying that you spent, the township has spent $1 million on a fire truck. Please.
Okay. I mean,
It's not true. It's not true.
No, they
Three-quarters of a
fire
million.
trucks cost roughly between 500 and 900,000.
Correct. But you keep making statements outside of here,
Well-
and it's been made at the dais that we
Yeah.
spent $1 million on a fire truck. So please, let's
Well,
set the
it's
record
usually-
straight.
Yes. Well, they're
Let's, we don't need to say we spent $1 million, because the most that was ever bonded was $750,000.
I will rephrase.
Correct, Veronica?
I don't remember
For-
off the
I
top
will-
of my head,
It
Kenny.
was only a few years ago.
Fair point that I
Do
will
you know how much
say.
money I deal with every day here?
I will from now on say that they're expensive fire trucks. Or maybe I shouldn't even say that. What word should I use into the?
Nothing, just say,
Just
buying a
say
fire
I
truck.
buy
It
a
was 2
fire
cents on the
truck.
tax base.
They're not cheap, how about that?
No, because they're, and you know what, the problem is, they have to last longer than what they're supposed to, because
Yeah.
you don't wanna replace them when you're supposed to.
Well, let's look at, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to keep the capital stuff going. It's very
Very
difficult.
peaceful meeting, it's sort of just right out there, I was like,
So again, we're doing our best.
And then the next thing is, you guys have been, they're all out west screaming about defund the police. That's been going on here for years. Yep. You cut if you cut their budget, okay.
But we
Not
didn't-
West
In the,
budget, West.
no, it's been in the years past, back in '09, and then a few years after that, budget cut, budget cut, budget cut, budget cut. So you guys pretty much set the base for defund the police.
The
costs.
budget, no.
You
just
cut the
I can't speak.
No, this was way before your time, Steve.
No, but I'm saying, if you go back, if you get the tax assessor's report, or tax collector's report, every year, our budget has never gone down.
No,
Maybe
but
individual departments.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well, but the taxes keep going up, so
Because you know why? You know why?
I know why.
You're here to provide services for the residents.
At a reasonable cost.
And with that comes the cost of doing business, i.e. replacing fire trucks.
Yep.
Yep. Well, you want to go to the police station. We're back, the chief is back to staffing levels to almost 40 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
40 years ago. You just had, there's 5 guys that haven't been replaced.
Right.
A captain, a lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and a patrolman. You can hire 10 guys with those 5 guys' salaries and have money left over. Why are we waiting? Because it takes almost a year. If you have to put guys doing interviews, everything else, they got to go through the academy. We're behind the times. We're dealing with 30,000 plus people in this town. 40 years ago, there wasn't 30,000 people in this town. And it's not a joke. They're understaffed over there, but you don't want to hire people. Why?
It's not that we don't want to hire people. We
Yeah,
have a budget.
look at all the salary you just
I
lost,
just-
and you haven't replaced one person yet.
Because up until recently, we didn't lose those salaries. They were still on the books. So they're part of the budget.
But now they're gone.
And those things will be addressed in the next.
But there's enough to hire 10 guys and have money left over off their salaries.
I'm not going to say what there is or what isn't on the budget.
Well,
until I see the budget.
I do the numbers. It's pretty, you can hire 10 and have money left over. And according to what Tim said at the Republican Club meeting back in when we had the first one in Hebrew Park, he's met with the tax collector, and this was the best year ever for tax collector.
No, it's not what I said.
Yes, it is, Tim.
No, that's
You
not-
said best
that
year
needs to-
ever.
I never
Next
said
year-
the
yes,
best
you did.
year ever. I said we were ahead. I
Best
said-
year
let
ever,
me-
and next year's
Kevin,
looking pretty good.
Kevin, can I please finish? I said we
I was
were,
there. I heard it come out of your mouth.
Kevin, I said we were ahead of last
You
year.
said best year
Let me
ever.
finish. Let me finish. And by the way, we're underwater right now. I said we had to wait till the first week in November to find out where we're going to be on the third quarter. And we're a little underwater. That's the truth. Yes, back in July, we were doing good. I walked in and she goes, yeah, we're doing great. But we won't know until the first week in November after the quarter breaks.
Isn't that what a collection is? I mean,
But after the 30 days after the quarter breaks.
it just means in collections, that's all.
Right,
People are
and
paying their
that's-
taxes, they're not paying more.
No, but that's-
And that's the
And
bank.
and if they don't
and
pay
that's-
it, we can do it, we can
Well,
do it.
there's a
this-
reserve for uncollected taxes that we always have to make ourselves 100% whole, and that includes the school and the county. So we have to set the reserve aside if the taxes don't get paid, it comes out of our budget. So that's just less that we have to take out of our budget to cover up for the shortfalls. So that's all that means. We're always made 100%, whether it's coming from the taxpayer or from within our own reserve. So, and basically, we were afraid that the taxpayers, and all of us were, that they weren't going to, due to COVID and a lot of layoffs, not be able to pay their taxes. That's what we were afraid of. And
Absolutely.
our taxes were being paid,
Right.
because most of our people's taxes are paid by a third-party company as a mortgage company. And those mortgage companies were paying the taxes, whether you're paying your mortgage or not. Because they have a vested interest, obviously, in that property. So yeah, our tax collection rate is always gonna be strong, because it's either coming from you, the taxpayer, or from the reserve of uncollected taxes. So, I don't
Well, I
understand
mean,
the point.
if you're short money, there's about 20 vehicles in the back. Most
And
of
I'm
them,
working on that.
most of them have been sitting there for
If you
2+
can write me
years.
up a very detailed list of everything that's wrong with them, I'll put them on the thing, but I don't have time to go back there and do that. And you're
When I
off
come
right
back
now, so
January,
you
I'll
can
be more
donate
than
your
glad to
time
sit
right
there
now.
all day and do
You're
that
off
for
right
you.
now, and you can donate your
Nope.
time to do that.
I do, I've donated my time every time the fire whistle blows, over 570 times this year.
We appreciate
Yeah.
all you do. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not done, listen. I'm just,
I was hoping to get,
nah, listen, you guys are getting me more and more closer to running
Go
for
for it.
committee.
That means he has to
Go for
retire
it.
soon then.
Listen, after what I saw at the meeting 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty confident that if I put my name in a hat for next year's to run in a club, I'm pretty sure I could probably get the nomination, enough votes in a club to run. So that means I could
you're gonna
retire at December 31st,
Take the penalty.
2021, only 1 month before my birthday. And then January 1, I could be sitting up there next to you, Veronica, in January 1, 2022.
And I welcome that, Kevin, because it's not as easy
It's
as
getting
you
closer
think.
and closer because
not as easy as
I'm
you think,
reaching the
so.
boy. And then that's going to go on your legacy cost, Steve, because you're making me retire sooner than I want to try and straighten things out in this town.
Okay.
All right?
Thanks, Kevin.
Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Kevin.
Anybody else?
of course, it's been.
Name and address.
Barry Bender, Historic Bay Avenue. I was at the last meeting, and I just wanted to clarify, because things were not as normal. You brought up a topic at the end of the caucus meeting, and normally people
yeah.
don't get up and speak, and there's no discussion, et cetera. But I wanted to know, and in reviewing the committee meeting, because I was here in person, but again, watching it on WLTS TV 21, there was never a motion made, and there was never a roll call vote. And my question is, should these people who decide to plant on the township property, should it be a buyer beware? Because previously, people who, and what brought this whole topic up, had their stuff cut down, had agreements with other folks, not known, whomever. I just wanted, to clarify. Normally in the caucus meeting, that doesn't happen the way it happened in the last meeting. And should these people be aware, it's kind of like a buyer beware kind of thing.
Yes, it's
That
always
if you
buyer.
decide to do it, it could change at any
Once
time.
these spaces leave,
Well, no,
Right.
well,
It's gonna change.
you're talking somebody buying at one of those houses?
No.
meaning
Oh,
Mrs.
no, no.
Berkowitz.
Yeah, well, that's-
If they decide to plant stuff on
I don't think it's, I
And then
mean,
there's a
the
change
property
of
owned by the
administration.
town,
I don't think it's, well, I mean, again, yeah, I guess it could happen, but, I mean, what is the
but
alternative? They're not
what I
selling.
wanted to the point was that.
If the knowledge base leaves here and then somebody doesn't remember, if, like, let's say I retire and then
Right,
the
but,
base is here,
but for
and that-
argument's sake, normally when you have a resolution or whatever,
I mean, it's
There's
going to
a-
be in the minutes, but that doesn't mean that somebody is going to remember if none of us are here to go back and look at that. So it is always buyer beware, yes.
Right,
correct.
but understood if there's a resolution, if there's something
A
on the
resolution is
books.
only as good as for the period when it passes, too, for that. They can adopt another resolution.
Right,
They
and
can
overturn
memorialize
it.
that in resolution.
Right.
I would say if you're gonna plant something that's not on your property,
Buyer beware.
buyer beware.
No,
Buyer beware.
I just wanted to make sure that if they happen to watch this meeting,
Yeah.
they realize if you're going to do that,
Yeah.
you're doing it at your own risk.
And
Right,
that's for those that even wanted to put the sand there and let the sand go back to its natural area for
Right.
the turtles.
Right.
I think it's more issue of making sure, the only, is so the DPW guys wouldn't mow, do.
Right, no, I
If
understand.
they put a sign up, I think they would not mow. That was
I
my
understand.
thing about it.
Yeah,
And that's why it
But
wasn't
it-
formalized by resolution.
right. But again, these people need to know that there is no formal resolution, and at any time, it could change, and the stuff would have to go. All right, thanks very much.
wait, he already spoke once, we let him back up
I forgot to
again.
say something. I'm glad to
Is
see.
this about me throwing plastic in the
No, no,
cardboard
this is,
container out
listen,
there?
I'm glad to see that we're finally sitting down like men, and we're gonna negotiate contracts with the unions, and we're not getting Mr. Maserati, Armando involved, because he was, listen, I'm glad that we're finally sitting down like men, and we got the attorney out of the way, because the township probably paid for his Maserati. Armando's out of the picture, and you're being men, congratulations.
We'll take any meeting with anybody.
Just keep the attorney out of it.
Oh, geez.
I'll say the name. Okay, George Norcross, and he owns so many politicians in New Jersey. That's why we're in the situation we're in. Just to clarify. Thank you.
Anything else from the public?
Motion to close the floor.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn? Wait.
A resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing convening executive session to discuss matters personnel, anticipated pending litigation, matters of contractual matters, and real estate matters.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yeah.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mayor Kennas.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Kill the mic.